Guys, welcome back to Iris After Hours. We are on top of Jerusalem here on the Mount of Olives in the Jerusalem International House of Prayer for all nations with Kate Hess. Her and her husband Tom run this amazing place. Literally, I wish you could see around here because there is like the names of all the places around outside.
Yeah.
A big deck for praying on. We're in a circular room here, right on top, like with 360-degree views. Kate, this is amazing.
It is.
What is happening here?
Well, quite a lot is happening
I know.
here.
Harp
but-
school. There's a harp. If you want to play
we're-
harp, you're doing a harp school tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we're in the midst. We've already been a week and a half of our harp school. It's our
amazing.
9th annual harp school, and we have other harp schools throughout the year.
Are you a harpist?
I am.
Is you one of the main teachers?
Yes, not in this school particularly,
No.
but I'm the director. Yeah.
That's amazing. And this is just one of the side issues, this harp school. And what else happens here, Kate?
Well, we've had the 24/7, the House of Prayer, for 31 years, and it's been every 2 hours. The watches are changing, and we have people. The watches are fueled from the people who are staff here, but
Yeah.
we also have people coming from all over the world.
You
and
have a lot of
Israel.
visitors, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
You had the harvest school here the other day.
Yeah.
How many was that? 100?
I think 120.
Yeah, up here.
And Heidi was here. So that was so exciting. And people here, I didn't tell people she was coming. So it was, people were like, oh my gosh, that's Heidi Baker. So I think somebody fell down even, but by accident. But it was very special. And a lot of them, I mean, through the years we've had, because of our relationship with Roland and Heidi.
Yeah.
But we've had so many teams, and even a number of our key staff have been from Iris Ministries. So we have the 24/7, and then we also have a publishing house. It's called Progressive Vision Publishing.
Wow.
And we've published about 30 different books that Tom and I have written.
Oh my
and they're
gosh.
in maybe over 50 different translations, like languages. And
That's amazing.
and we have a Watchman School of Ministry.
Yes, tell me about that. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I think that's a lot like what you guys do, Harvest
Yeah.
School, but it's more geared towards like Jewish and Arab pastors coming, and
Yeah.
we take the students. It's a 3-week school. We take the students all throughout the land, and they're in different congregations and hearing what does it mean to be a watchman in Israel. Isaiah 62, I've set watchmen on your walls, O Jerusalem, who will not keep silent day or night
Wow.
until Jerusalem is a praise in the earth. So it's really equipping people from the nations and even from Israel to what does it mean to really stand watch and to be watching the Lord, watching his word, and watching over Israel.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're really attentive
Yeah.
to what he's saying and to what's
Yes.
going on.
Yeah, and then throughout the year we have, for myself personally, I have a children's charity called Jerusalem Children's Fund, and we're doing many camps, and we're doing all kinds of outreaches, and we go into the West Bank, and we're involved in all kinds of children's ministries and schools and things throughout Jerusalem. So Jews and Arabs,
Yep.
and supporting all kinds of causes for children and reaching out to orphans in the Holy Land. So
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you have the convocation, is it called?
yeah, All Nations
In
Convocation, Jerusalem.
October?
Yep.
Every year? Same. it's
It
sort of-
always starts on the Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, Rosh Hashanah.
So they call that Feast of Trumpets.
Ah.
And Heidi usually comes to that as well.
Yes, and she's
So-
she's speaking there, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Next year.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the.
This year she didn't make it because of the grandbaby.
Oh, yes,
But-
Leon.
Yeah, Lev Leon. So she had to be, on the
Yeah.
home front,
Yes.
which is great.
So
We're
you've just
happy.
finished that, haven't you?
Yeah, we finished.
How
it.
was that? Was it amazing?
Yeah, it's really amazing.
And-
It's usually about 150 nations,
Oh my gosh.
and for 2 weeks, and it's 24 hours a day. So we
And
have
do you tour a bit, or is it just here in Jerusalem?
6 days of touring. Yeah.
And then finishing here
Yeah.
at Ramat.
It's at Ramat Rachel for 10 days, and then we have 3 touring days, and then we have during the days at Ramat Rachel, and then at the end we send them to all the borders of Israel. So some go down to Egypt, Some go to the Lebanon-Syria border. They go to all the borders, and then they pray for the borders, and they meet with local people, and jump in the Dead Sea and get baptized, and walk on the Sea of Galilee. And,
yes?
yeah,
Come on.
Yeah, sure.
Hey.
We test their faith. We're like,
Yeah,
okay, we'll see if you really have faith. You have to walk on the Sea of Galilee.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's up, but it's
Or we're like, okay, you can just float in the Dead Sea.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's almost like walking on the water.
Yeah. So it's very special. The convocation is very special. I just feel like it's, for us, it's just like heaven, like that sort of just the cross-pollination of all the nations coming together in Jerusalem.
And anyone can come to that, can't they?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. And we have close to 3,000 local people attended with the day registration. Wow. So we have about half. We have about 3,000 from the nations, and then we have all this like locals that are just kind of phasing in and phasing out because they're working and they have their own lives here, but they're coming.
Now what's the web? How do people find out about this?
Yeah, it's www.jhopfan.org, and
JHOP fan with Jerusalem International House of Prayer for All Nations.
Yeah, it's it's like Jerusalem House of Prayer for All Nations. So JHOP fan.
JHOP fan. Yeah.
And from the beginning, it was interesting because when Tom came he first came in the 70s, and then he came.
Yes, tell us about this. How did it all start?
Well, he came, and when he first came here, actually, he was at some conference, like a Holy Spirit conference with Catherine Kuhlman in Jerusalem.
Gosh. Yeah. No.
Yeah, his first time. And he was completely in replacement theology. That's what we call like when so many people in the nations believe like they kind of don't believe the New Testament anymore. They're like the New Testament's over and we're just the Old Testament's over, we're just in the New Testament.
Okay, yeah.
And there's no Israel. Right, there's just the church. Mm-hmm. So every time Israel is mentioned, they think it's the church.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is something we're always kind of encountering because, even educating people about what God's doing in Israel today and why Israel is still relevant.
Yes.
Today. And
no, absolutely.
The incredible resurrection, actually, of the nation. But so when Tom first came, he was in what we call replacement theology, and he was actively teaching people there's no Israel, like the church is Israel.
Gosh.
So, and of course,
and is he Jewish? Is it Tom?
He has roots. He has Jewish roots. Yeah. But by the state of Israel, it's not something they only recognize if it's your mother or your grandmother.
Okay.
It has to be immediate, like within either your grandparents or your parents.
Okay.
Yeah. And they only consider you Jewish from your mother's side.
Isn't that funny?
So there's people here who they're Jewish from their father, which is biblical Judaism, like Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, but the Israeli national policy is from the mother.
Right.
So the people who are Jewish from their father, they call it the right to return, but they say you're kind of like you're Jewish, but you're not Jewish.
So funny.
It's strange.
Yeah,
it's strange. So anyways, he came, and then he had this amazing experience. And then he felt to come back. He felt troubled. He was like, what is this thing about Israel? And so in 1982, he came back here and he just spent a whole week. He was praying and fasting, and he just read the scriptures. And during that week, he felt just this blinders come off of his eyes.
Wow.
And he was like, nope, Israel is real. And everything God said about Israel in the Old Testament is going to come back. It's going to come to pass that he made an everlasting covenant, and it's still applicable today.
Come on.
And everything that is written in like Romans 9 through 11. And
I know, it's very clear in there, isn't it?
Yeah. So he just got this revelation, and at that time he received this promise that he will live in the land of Israel. Yeah.
So, and how did that happen? How did that eventuate?
So then what happened from then on, he was like just always, Tom is this kind of person. He's sleeping right now because he was traveling last night. But Tom is this person, he's always like inquiring. We call it inquiring of the Lord, like how when it said David inquired of the Lord. So he's always like just asking God questions, and then just waiting for answers and waiting upon the Lord. So he asked the Lord, like, okay, well, if I'm going to live here, like, when is that going to be? And he started to bring 3 tours a year, 3 pastors' tours a year, from 1982 to 1987. And he was bringing these tours, and every time he was saying, Lord, is now the time? Am I going to move to Israel now? And then it was in 1987, he was in the process of writing this book called Let My People Go, which is like a clarion call, a biblical call for the Jewish people to make aliyah, to immigrate, to return to Israel. So he was writing this book. He wrote half of it in Washington, D.C., and then he came here, and he just felt like now is the time, and he was just prayer walking. He didn't have a car at that time, and actually Israel, like if you see Israel today, it's so high tech and so modern, like people can't believe it, People think it's like, oh, we're all living in Bedouin tents and there's no plumbing and like it's like the old Bible times, like Abraham and Sarah, But it's like this is like more high tech than the U.S. Like it's a high tech nation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And everything is modern and fast, and like little kids have like 2 or 3 cell phones, and it's incredible. So, but at that time, it took Tom like I think 2 years to get a landline, like a telephone line.
Oh my gosh.
It was like really the nation was still kind of in a developing phase.
Yeah.
It wasn't very fast.
Yep.
What was going on. So he was just walking around and saying, Lord, where am I going to start this house of prayer? Because he had a house of prayer behind the Supreme Court in Washington, D.C.
Oh, no way.
He already knew he's going to start this house of prayer.
Wow.
So he was just walking around, like, Lord, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? And one day he was walking on Mount of Olives, and one of our neighbor kids came up, and this is our other house.
Oh, yeah.
A neighbor kid, a little Arab kid came up, and he was like, this house is for rent. Hey, mister, this house is for rent. And Tom went and looked at it. That's the house we live in he's lived there for 31 years. And he just rented it that day. He was like, this is the house.
Wow.
Yeah. And for 6 months, the house of prayer started there. And then after 6 months, there was a Messianic Jewish family living here.
This place is amazing.
I know, and it's huge.
It's massive.
It's a big house for it's 4 stories.
How many people can live here?
Well, during the convocation, we have like 120, 150 people because we have this house and then we have the other facilities. We have about 7 other apartments.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in the buildings next to here.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so we have, this house is like, I call it like refugee camp because like during convocation, people are just sleeping everywhere. Even in Tom's office, we turn it into like sleeping quarters.
This is so cool.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this family called Tom up and they were like, we're in this house. It was just like a family was living here. And they felt, she was like, I don't even know why I'm here, but she kind of felt like she was an intercessor. And we're good friends with them to this day, and her children and her grandchildren we're friends with. One of them, she just graduated from high school and is in the Army, and actually her son is working for the Prime Minister. And
wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so
you got this place.
Yeah, then we got this place, and so yeah, we've been here all these years, and the nonstop 24/7. And one of the great things that came out of it, the first 7 years, Tom always says this, like, it was only, he was hosting meetings in Washington, D.C. with over 1 million people.
Wow.
They hosted Youngie Cho. They hosted
oh my gosh.
all these people with gatherings of like Million Man March and these incredible gatherings. And before that, in the 70s, Tom was a part of this Jesus movement.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah. And his meetings were like 50, 80,000 people. And then he comes here And he always tells people for the first 7 years, there wasn't more than 70 people in any meeting he had. For 7 years.
Oh my
it
gosh.
It never went beyond the 70 mark.
Yeah.
And then after the 7th year, the Lord, there was 2 things that happened. The first one was Isaiah 19. We started to have this Egypt, Israel, Assyria will worship.
The road. Yeah,
yes, the highway. There's a highway
Yes.
between Egypt, Israel, Assyria, which Assyria is basically the Middle East.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Syria, Assyria.
Assyria, yeah.
So, and that they're going to worship God together. So Tom started hosting these meetings with Jews and Arabs in Egypt and Cyprus and Jordan and all over the place.
So good.
Now we do them in Turkey. And so that was one of the first things. After 7 years, it was like this the whole thing was birthed, like
Wow.
Jews and Arabs coming together. And
so good.
yeah, now it's more commonplace, but it was such a revolutionary concept. Like even in Israel, Jews and Arabs were like, no way. You know, like it was ghettos. It was like the Christian Arabs are with the Christian Arabs, the Messianic Jews, the internet, it was like these kind of ghettos.
Yeah, all segregated.
Yeah, and even people are in the same city, and some people know each other, but there wasn't this sort of coming together and really making peace, which is so powerful because it's the testimony of Yeshua. It's the testimony of Jesus.
Exactly.
Because people are like, why are you guys together? What are you guys doing together? Like, they're supposed to be enemies.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
So when they're hanging out together, this is like really the testimony of Jesus in this land.
Wow.
Yeah, so that happened. And then after 7 years, the All Nations Convocation was born. And then, the meetings started to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, but it was the first 7 years just plowing that ground 24/7,
wow.
prayer and worship and
that investment, hey?
Yeah, and just saying this is the most important.
Yeah.
This has to be the foundation. It's like the vertical with God before all of this other stuff. And people are always saying, how are you guys doing all these things? And we now have a 24/7 in Eilat. On the Red Sea. And we're about to start one in the north, in the Golan.
So
the
Golan's beautiful.
Yeah. We really felt we have now the prayer covering over Egypt, that southern border with Jordan and Egypt. And now we're gonna
so it's strategic. What you're doing is strategic.
Yeah, it's really for the borders, the security of the borders, and for many things, the move of God, of course. So
yes, the borders are quite vulnerable in this country, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
They literally need prayer.
For sure.
Wow.
For sure. So this is like, we're just all these years, even to this day, it has to be. We just really see everything came out of prayer. Everything is sustained by prayer. It's not like, hey, we're going to do this thing and God bless us. And like, okay, let's pray that God will bless that we have the, we're going to do this thing. And I know you guys have that same, revelation from God. It's like, it's all just coming out of, fellowship with God, intimacy with God, prayer. And then everything's flowing out of that and everything is sustained by that. And then it's not coming from this place of striving and like, pushing. Come on, God, bless what we're doing. It's just like, oh, we're just doing these things, like we're praying and then it's coming out of that. Yes. So it's very powerful.
Yeah, that's very similar to Iris,
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, and that's why we're so connected with you guys. It's super exciting. Heidi is so excited.
I know.
About being connected with you guys and what's happening here.
We feel the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel the same. And it's so beautiful. Like, even the response, how people respond to Heidi in Israel. And a lot of people didn't know her even. Like a lot of the local people here, they don't know all these international people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some of them do, kind of this younger crowd. But there's so many people they don't know all these names from the nations and stuff. So, but people are you guys know, you see it all the time, how drawn people are to
absolutely.
to Heidi. And
she just oozes that love and that presence of God. And she carries that hunger,
Yeah.
that deep hunger for God and His presence.
It's incredible.
Very contagious.
It is.
And people wonder, what is that? And
Yeah,
I
they're
want
like,
that.
what is that?
Yeah.
They can't really put their finger on it. Yeah.
Now, also, you here on the mountain, you have like you connect with people and
Oh, yeah.
a lot of the kids. So tell us about what a day looks like or a week looks like for you on the mountain here, because you're involved with a lot of people, a lot of kids,
but
a lot of families.
It's very unpredictable.
Right, yeah, so it's a bit random.
There's never one day that looks quite the same.
Right.
But one of the things from the beginning, we've always, of course, like, you gotta love your neighbors. So, we're always just, this is the culture. The Middle East is different.
Yes.
Like, the West is like, you go into your house with your white picket fence and you put, like, no one's going in, no one's going out.
Very sort of cut off from everyone else, aren't you?
And it's interesting because one of the things I always had this stirring inside of me. I mean, I grew up in New England. I grew up in Maine, in the northeast of the United States. And of course, we always had good relations, but you're distant. People are like really value independence and privacy and space.
Yes.
And I don't know, I just always felt there has to be something more than this. Like, I had that stirring inside of me to really love my neighbors. And I remember when I first moved here, you have to really adjust to the total lack of privacy, in which I think it's the same in Mozambique, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no privacy. Like, Heidi, we were talking about that the other day. She's like, oh, yeah, you see how we're having this private meeting right now? She's like, if we were in Mozambique, 15 people would have already come into the room and, be hanging out with you. And so, it's very, here, it's predominantly Arab in East Jerusalem, although there's some
scattered.
There's Jews and there's like 3 different kind of Jewish neighborhoods here, and there's some Christian Arab, but it's very tribal. Like one family on the Mount of Olives is 20,000 people in one family. The main family is Abul Hawa. There's 45,000 people on Mount of Olives, so 20,000 of them are one family alone.
Oh my God.
So it's a joke all the time because I'm talking to someone and they're like, oh, my cousin, and they have like 1,000 cousins, like they're like, oh yeah, that's my cousin. And I'm like, which cousin? They have endless cousins, like everyone is their cousin. And everybody knows everyone. And then like you're driving through the streets and they just stop and talk to their cousin for 10 minutes and you're sitting behind them waiting for them to finish talking to their uncle or their cousin or whoever. So you have this big family feeling.
Wow.
And it's good in some ways, and then it's not good in other ways because there's a lot of family feuding and all of that. But it's incredible because I can just walk through the streets and I can walk into almost anyone's home.
Wow, because you know people, you've got to know so many people.
Not just because of that, they're very friendly. Like, people come and stay with us and they'll just be walking and then some old lady will come out and be like, come in my house, come in my house.
That's so
because they're not... it's more traditional, so usually the women are staying at home.
Yes.
And they're just bored out of their mind.
Seems like Africa's like that.
Yeah, they're like, just like, come and talk to me,
That's so
all the
good.
time. Like, even if they speak English or they don't, they're like, come in my house, So
awesome.
Always I was sharing about this and tonight when we were celebrating my birthday.
Yes, happy birthday! I meant to say that at the beginning.
40 years young!
40! Give me a high five. Yeah.
Are you 40?
I'm a little bit older than 40. I wish I was 40.
Really?
I had my 40th birthday 11 years ago.
Oh, really?
In Africa,
Ooh.
during the harvest school. It was called the
Really?
Holy Given School back then, yeah.
Was it awesome?
It was amazing, yeah. That was the best place
It's
to turn
such a
40.
good feeling.
Yeah.
I just want to tell the viewers out there, like, you have nothing to be afraid of.
Exactly. 40's the new 20.
Wonderful. It's glorious.
Come on. Don't be afraid.
Yes. It's all downhill from here. No, I'm just I did all the hard climbing my first 40 years. No, it was amazing. But I was telling tonight, just sharing a little bit about how when I came here, the Lord spoke to me like, don't think that you know anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything you learned in the West, that you learned in America, like, that was good. That was enough to get you to this mountain.
Yeah.
But now you're starting all over again. Like you're just crawling. You're on the ground. Like don't think you know anything. Just be a child and just wait. And then the Lord said, go through the open door. So this has really been with as far as visiting neighbors and the ministry on the Mount of Olives is really to just I just wait and people just invite me, and many people, we all have many connections and know many families, and they'll just be like, oh yeah, come to our engagement party. Oh yeah, come to the wedding. Okay, come to this, come to that. And you just start. And what I saw was like, I went to a neighbor's house and then there was other people there. And then they're like, oh, come to my house.
Yeah. So
and then it just keeps going.
Chain reaction almost. Yeah.
It keeps going and going and going. And so I always did that. I said, Lord, I'm just waiting for the open door. And then I always try to take people with me as well.
And you learn to speak a little bit of Arabic as well?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't
it?
Yeah.
I love it. And like this week, for example, one of my neighbors near here, she has the same birthday as me on November 1st. That's actually my birthday. So we're 1 year apart. So we discovered that early on when I moved here. And every year we celebrate our birthday together.
Oh, that's so
yeah.
cool.
So on Thursday, I'm going to be going over, and they're a Muslim family, and they bring their family together, and I'm friends with like a lot of the family, and then I bring a bunch of people from the big house from here, and
This is called the big house.
This is the big house.
This is the big house.
It's 4 stories. It's massive. So yeah, that's kind of just how it's just simple.
Wow,
Everything is simple.
So amazing.
And we have like a Mother's Day outreach, and all the women come, and we do a spa day, and we do pampering and massage and pedicures and manicures and just sitting and talking with the women, and we have a kids camp in the summer. And
so good.
In the beginning it was just Muslim children, and then Christian Arab children. All the Christian Arabs said, oh, we're not going because they're Muslim. And then I kept talking to them. I'm like, you guys are the light. You're not going to come to the camp? You're going to be afraid of them? No, you're supposed to be shining the light to them.
Exactly.
So then they started to come.
Nice.
Then this past year, Messianic Jewish kids were there. So we had Muslims, Christian Arabs, Messianic Jews, and international children all mixed together.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know how they were communicating with each other, but you know how kids are.
Exactly.
They just like find a way.
Yeah, they'll play together and work it out.
And we have coming up, we have the Christmas party that we do every year.
Oh,
yeah, we've done that from the beginning. And we really share the good news, and we do dramas and gifts and all kinds of stuff. And actually, one of the families that was here tonight for my birthday, she shared about how she first heard the gospel when she was 12 years old in this house.
Oh
and
gosh.
That was the beginning of her faith journey, and now she's come to know the Lord.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
and her family as well, and they were formerly Muslims.
Wow.
And we hear this many times, so sometimes, it's not always happening overnight, but there's that day when the light goes on and they, the seeds are there, and somebody's watering them, and finally they come to fruition.
Come on, absolutely.
Yeah, it was really powerful for her to, that sharing of people being here in the prayer tower who were little kids in our neighborhood, and now they're believers.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, so, and I always love this with, like, that Heidi talks about, we all know it, go low and go slow. And sometimes I feel that anxiousness, like, oh, I want to reach more people and I want it to go faster. And you're just, you're just doing what you can, but you can't go faster than the Spirit. Mm-hmm. Like, you're like, why? Like, I wish it was going faster than this. And so, we go through the open door, we go low, we go slow. We're just slowly, building these foundations, but it's amazing to see.
But if we all do that.
Exactly.
If we all do that,
it's the truth.
The world will be reached.
It's true. And if everyone, I meet people all the time and I'm like, so are you reaching out to your neighbor? And people are like, what? Like, I don't know who my neighbor is. You know, like, I hear this all the time. I'm like, if we all just took that, the great, you know, like when he said the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and then to love your neighbor as yourself. So it's like, if everybody loved their neighbor, then, I mean, we'd probably be done with the Great Commission by now.
Yes.
Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean? And
Oh,
then people,
absolutely.
it's like all these excuses of why we can be running all over the place, even to doing great conferences and concerts, but it's like you didn't love your neighbor yet. And that was one of my prayers when I came here. I said, Lord, I want to have like, I want to have like my neighbor as my best friend. And I live on the other side of the mountain, and my neighbor from the beginning, Tom took me over after I'd been here for about a month. He's like, okay, I want to introduce you to one of the neighbors. And I met her, and we have been like best of friends ever since.
Wow.
Now that was 2006.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and now it's such a testimony, and I'm close with all 7 of her children. 7 children. And she's my age.
Come on.
It's amazing. She had her first child when she was 16.
Gosh.
Yeah. 2 of her children are already adults and married.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but that's been such a blessing for me, living here and just being like, really having such a close friend, my neighbor, being like, you know, even when I'm sick, you know, the scripture says it's better to call upon a neighbor who's close than a relative who is far away.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be like, sometimes she would call me and she'd be like, Kate, how are you? And even if I had like a cold, she'll be like, okay, I'm making you chicken soup right now. Okay, I'm going to make soup for you. And then we share the same wall. And then she'd be like, come to the wall. I'll bring the soup to you.
Oh.
And I mean, I'm just like, even in like my whole life growing up, I said, never I had a neighbor do that for me.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I say, really, I found so much love on this mountain. It's like I'm a part of a big tribe.
Yep.
That's what I feel like. I'm like in this, you know, Arab Ishmael tribe, like, but it's amazing. Oh, I really do. Like anytime something happened to me or something, I mean, I could like, I had like 5 Arab uncles show up in like minutes, you know, it's just like really amazing.
Wow. You've made a real impact here. That's amazing.
And people are waiting, you know, they're waiting. I say, people are like, oh, how is it to live here? I say, these people are so open. They're like sponges. They're just waiting. I feel like they're just waiting for someone to knock on their door, you know. They don't do like all this extracurricular things that we do, like how in the West, how people have all these sports and music.
Yeah.
And, you know, they go to school, they come home, and then they're doing nothing. They're just waiting. They just have the family. I mean, they love football, by the way. They love soccer, football. But besides that, they're not there. It's just like the family, and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't have anything else.
Wow.
So they're really like waiting to hear from the Lord. They're waiting for someone to come to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you guys, come on.
Come on. So people can come and visit. People can come.
Yeah.
And you have volunteer staff here as well?
Yeah, we have with our 2 houses of prayer, there's about 50 full-time staff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So guys, come on.
Come
Come
we need
to Jerusalem.
you. And,
House of prayer for all nations.
Amen. And if you have burden for Jews, for Arabs, for the Middle East, really to sow your life in prayer and crying out for this land. I can tell you, this is the hour of visitation. God is visiting this land as never before.
Whoa.
And we are in the end times. I don't know if you know what that is. I'm sure many people know what that is, but we are in the end times, what the Bible called the end times, and all these things. Like I always say, when you read the newspaper in Israel, it's like you're reading the Bible. You know, the headlines of Israel's newspapers are just straight out of the Bible. When you read Ezekiel 36, 37, 38, 39, when you read passages in Revelation and the book of Daniel, and I mean, we're in this time that the prophets, they actually say like 90% of the prophecies are referring to this time that we're living in.
Gosh.
Yeah, and they're about Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what how God visited Israel in the beginning, but in the end of time, God is visiting this land again. I always call it like bookends.
Yeah.
Like the first chapter, like if when you're studying and you read like sometimes you're like, oh, I don't have time to read the whole book.
Read the first chapter and the last chapter.
Yeah, I'm like, if you read the first
gets
chapter
into it.
and last chapter, you pretty much find out everything you need to know.
Yeah, somewhere.
But it's like it's about Israel. It's like the first shall be last, the last shall be first. Like, he started with Israel, and then he had this incredible plan to save all the nations, and then at the end of time, he revisits Israel again.
Come on.
And then he completes the plan of God.
Whoa, with God's people.
Yeah, like some people are like, what is this? And it's not about even nationality. It's about the kingdom of God. And it's about God finishing what he started.
Exactly.
And God doesn't just use people, like he didn't just use Israel or use the Jewish people. He brought forth the Bible. He brought forth the prophets. He brought forth the Messiah, Jesus. But it's like, how would God be glorified if he didn't save Israel?
Exactly.
It's like, he could save the whole world, but he couldn't save Israel?
His own kids.
Do you know what I mean?
That's like a tragedy.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, and God wouldn't be glorified either. Like I tell this to Israelis, you think God is only small enough to save Israel? You think God is only for Israel? Like, no, like this is the God of the universe.
Come on.
He loves Israel and he loves the nations, and it's all a part of the plan of God to save Israel and the nations.
Come on.
So this is the king's inheritance, Israel and the nations. So I believe that's the time we're in, the time of the fullness.
Yeah.
Like the gospel going to the ends of the earth.
Come on.
Being preached to all the nations. Then the end will come. And then it also says, and all Israel will be saved.
It does, yes.
So, yeah, we get to be a part of that.
And you'll be here on the
Yeah.
mountain.
And then that's the other prophecy is that he will come back to the Mount of Olives.
Will come here first.
Yeah, Zechariah 14:4 says he will put his feet on the Mount of Olives.
Come on.
And that's a part of my story because when I was 8, I was reading the Bible. I was filled with the Holy Spirit and I was reading the Bible. And my mother was asking me, why do you keep reading the book of Revelation? And I said,
because it's exciting, Mum.
yeah. I was like, there's dragons and there's and there's this like scarlet lady, and I told her, I said, I'm living in this book. And she goes, what do you mean you're living in this book? And I said, I'm going to see Jesus coming back with my own eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And I didn't even know what I was saying. I don't think I was just like saying these prophetic utterances, and only later, only as an adult did I even realize what I had said. She was like, what? Who are you? And then not until I came here in 2003 did I realize that I was talking about the Mount of Olives. I came to Mount of Olives, and then I suddenly said, oh, this is where he's coming. And then it just like registered like, oh, I'm going to be on the Mount of Olives when he comes. That's where he's coming. So I have to be on the Mount of Olives.
What a
and I
crazy
didn't
connection.
know.
No.
I didn't know at that time I was going to be married, that I was going to marry Tom.
No.
I was just like, I'm here. I'm going to be like where he's coming.
Come on.
Yeah, and I've been here ever since.
And it happened. Whoa.
Yeah, and
That's crazy.
I could feel it. I was like, oh, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be on this mountain. And I really can see it. Like whenever I look at this mountain in the eyes of the Spirit, I'm always going, this is the Welcoming Home Committee.
Wow.
These people, and
sweet.
many people came. Many people saw. One of the guys who works for us, he never had a dream or a vision. And one day he comes to me. He's a local Arab Christian. He never had a dream or a vision. And one day he came to me. He said, I had a dream. And he said, Kate, we were putting on the white, all of the children were coming to the big house. And we were putting on the white garments of salvation. We were putting all of them to get them ready for Jesus to come back. Yeah, he had this revelation. He had a lot of. Then since then, he keeps coming to me, and he has some more and more and more and more. And more. I was like, oh, come on, I want some of those. But I saw this. Again and again and again. I was like, we are here to prepare the way for the Lord, and we're here to prepare this mountain, and of course the nations, and Israel, the Middle East. But for me, I'm like, I'm on this mountain to prepare this mountain and to prepare the people on this mountain to welcome Jesus back.
Come on.
Yeah. And I am convinced I will see it in my lifetime.
Wow.
I'm not saying I know the day or the hour, but I have a very strong feeling I will see it with my own eyes.
Come on.
And it's interesting because one of the things that happens when people come to this house, they even say, they said, I never thought about Jesus coming back. And I walked into this house, like I didn't say anything. Nobody said anything to them. And they were like, I came into this prayer tower and just suddenly I was like, oh my God, Jesus is coming. Like they just get this revelation, like the imminence of Christ, like he is coming. You know,
wow.
And people who never even thought about it, like they're good Christians. They love Jesus, but they're not thinking about the return of the Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's a constant reality just living on this mountain and knowing, hey, it's one of these days. One of these days.
Come on.
And it could be this, it could be right here.
And that's what he said.
We're like, I even said, I'm like, Jesus, you can land on this house if you want. Like, this can be it.
And that was what he said on that. I think I was reading the other day. One of his preachers on the Mount of Olives was, "You don't know the hour or the day.
Yeah.
Be ready. Be on the watch.
Ready.
The Son of Man can come at any time."
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys, you're ready.
Exactly. You got to be ready.
You're on the mountain and you're ready.
Yeah. And it's a question I'm always asking myself. I'm always like, am I really ready? Because it says the bride will make herself ready. Wow. Like just like when a bride and a groom get married, like. You don't have to tell the bride to get ready. She gets ready.
That's true, hey.
Because, and so I'm always saying, am I really ready? Like, is this real? Is this really real to me? This wedding that is coming, and am I going to be ready when you come? Is there going to be oil, Take time to buy the oil, to get the oil.
Yes.
You
don't want the lamp to go out.
Exactly.
And be in the dark. Where are you?
Yeah. So I think that's also the point of, being in the 24/7 prayer and worship, of having that fire on the altar all the time.
Kate, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing about this.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you for sowing your life.
Pleasure.
Pouring your life out here on this mountain. For all the people and for all the nations that are coming here, all you do for all believers from around the world that come, the convocations and everything you're strategically doing through the nation of Israel.
Thank you.
Such a privilege to hear it all. And the website is
www.jhopfan.org.
That's right, yeah.
And we're also going to be with Heidi in Portugal this year.
Oh, cool.
Or this coming year.
Okay, in 2019.
We have a breakthrough convocation in a European breakthrough convocation. It's going to be May 23rd through 25th.
Come on.
Yeah.
Was that Lisbon?
In Lisbon, Portugal.
Cool.
So we're really excited about Heidi coming.
I know Heidi will be able to speak the language.
I know.
Super cool.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that, and we'll have All Nations Convocation again this year. I think September 29th through October 13th. I mean, the coming year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in 2019. Yeah,
29. We're already in the new Jewish year, so that's why I'm saying
yes, because it's a Jewish calendar. Yeah, okay.
So I'm like, this year. Okay, it's next year.
Come on.
2019. So, we're looking forward to that, and we're hoping in due time we'll end up in Mozambique.
Yes.
Yeah, we tried to come one other time. Tom and I tried to come, and it was the first time that they shut down all the visas.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't get in, and then... we're really praying for the nation right now, for Mozambique.
Yeah, thank you. So we appreciate all your prayers.
We're just declaring the breakthrough, and that everything will be restored, and even like sevenfold
in Jesus' name
what it was before.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. We appreciate
that God will really restore that work and make it so much greater as a
Yeah.
result. Yeah.
And we believe in what you're doing here. We are praying for you and
Thank you.
and this house of prayer here.
Thank you.
We believe in it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, so
Yeah.
sweet. Bless
Come
you.
back. Come
Yes.
anytime.
Thank you.
You're always welcome.
Come on. Did you hear that? You're always welcome.
You're welcome.
Come on. Thank you for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. We are here in Jerusalem, so watch out. We've got a few more episodes to go. And leave a comment below and download the app on your phone so you can watch these podcasts. But bless you, and we will see you again really soon. Ciao.
Bye.
This podcast is presented by Iris Global. For more information or to support the work of Iris Global, please visit us online at irisglobal.org.